Welcome to the Kidlit Club with Sally Rippon and Adrian Beck.
On this episode, we focus on the Willy Lit Fest. We talk teacher librarians with Slav, and our special guest is Matt Cosgrove.
Welcome to another fantastic episode of the Kidlit Club. Sally Rippon, thank you for having us in your house.
Always a pleasure. It means that, I don't have to go very far.
That's true. It's very convenient, isn't it?
Sure, my bedroom's just behind there.
Terrific. But speaking of not going too far, just down the road from here,
Yes.
the Willy Lit Fest is on this weekend. That's a great festival, and there's some excellent names that I wrote down some of the names that are involved this weekend. I'm going to try and get there. Judy Horacek, George Ivanov, Lee Hobbs, Nova Wheatman, Robert Newton, and of course the patron saint of the Willy Lit Fest, Andy Griffiths himself.
Yeah,
So it's a great lineup.
resident, so he's always there.
Yeah.
Always good.
And another highlight is the Stereo Stories Band.
Yes. So Stereo Stories is an event. Last year, from memory, it was hosted by Brian Van Covers.
Yes.
And they invite authors to choose a favourite album or a favourite song, and then they kind of act it out on stage.
Yeah.
They'll read out some of the lyrics.
They sort of read and sing and
Some of it is crazy.
It is,
There was a very crazy horse head involved last year.
Sounds very Godfather, doesn't
Danny Katz did a
Danny
very
Katz
funny
was
one.
amazing. Yeah.
Did you see Andy Griffiths with the horse head?
Yeah, I don't know if I caught the horse head bit,
That
but
was slightly spooky.
going back to his punk roots, I think.
Yes.
But basically, as Sal said, there's this huge band that's
really
up on
fun.
stage, and they get a lot of authors involved, and they sing and tell stories through music, through the band. It's so good. It's really a great
really
event. That's on the
entertaining.
Saturday night too. So if you get a chance,
Books out really quickly, so hopefully you've got yourself a ticket. Yeah.
let's hope so, fingers crossed. But that's the Willy Lit Fest is great. I was there last year, actually. It was really good, and I hope to get there this year too. So all the details are there on the screen. So if you want to get involved, it's a great festival. Why not?
Lots of fun.
What is also great, though,
This is your favourite bit,
it's
isn't it?
my favourite bit. It's time now for the Rippon Report.
Stupid.
The Rippon Report. This time round, Sally chats with Susan Marca from Slav.
Hi, Sally Rippon here for the Kidlit Club with Susan Marca, who is the Executive Officer for the School Library Association of Victoria.
Excellent, thank you.
And yes, I got it right. We had a couple of practices, yeah. And I was really keen I know you've had something to do with Slav for quite a long time, and you've just stepped into this particular role, but some people may not be aware of exactly what Slav does, who it operates for, and the kind of things that people can know about. So can you just give us a little bit of a rundown of what Slav is for a start?
Rightio. Okay, well, SLAV is a professional association that supports those people that work in school libraries. It began in 1960, so it's been going for a very long time. And historically it was certainly about supporting, in particular, teacher librarians and their practice in school libraries and what they did to support their communities. So that meant running a professional learning program for those people, trying to upskill them, support them in their roles in school libraries. We are an advocacy forum as well, and advocating for our profession. And we also do things like produce journals for our members, etc. So a whole lot of different roles, and very much about creating networks for our members so that they can come together and share and be collegiate. That's historically. As time has gone on, we've perhaps spread our focus because we have fewer and fewer teacher librarians, unfortunately. So therefore we now talk in the main about library teams and library professionals, because we recognise that our profession contains a lot of people that aren't necessarily trained teachers.
Right.
So it has. We're a professional teaching association. All of the different subject teachers have one. So there's VATE for English, and there's MAV for maths, and there's HTAV for history, etc. So SLAV is very much for school libraries.
And okay, so here's the best person to answer this question: why are teacher librarians important, and why should we be fighting as hard as we can to make sure they don't disappear completely?
Well, I think we are so important. No, it's not a dumb question. It's a great question, and it's really important to be talking about it. I think what we bring to the equation is both sides of that experience. We are qualified teachers, we are qualified librarians. Now, that's a difficult thing nowadays because it's more study, and I think less people probably want to make that effort. But when they do, I think they recognise the absolute value of having both of those hats. So we bring an attitude of being able to understand all the pedagogy behind teaching, but we also have that librarian's hat of understanding collection development and management, etc., and knowing about how to build a collection and a space that is really engaging and inviting for students. So both of those things. Being a teacher, we are more qualified to actually work in a collaborative way with other teachers, to resource material, find them the right things for what they're doing in their classrooms. And in my experience and in what my profession certainly would say is that that's an opportunity to create the most wonderful partnerships. And beyond our role in reading and in books, it's that whole other world nowadays of how we relate to media out there and how we relate to what we read. We ran a very successful conference last year on fake news. And so there's a whole lot of wonderful spaces for us to be working in, and I think you really need that teacher hat because if you're coming at it from a librarian's perspective, it's a different world. You're really more interested in that whole idea of freedom of information and making things available. But what a teacher is also thinking about is how do I engage with this material in a way that helps my students to think critically, to evaluate what they're looking at, and to learn from what they're reading rather than just read it for pleasure, which we also love too. So we have a lot of different hats. It's difficult. We are more expensive, and
so is this why they're disappearing? Because that was going to be my next question. Or is it a much harder course to study, or are there less? I've also heard that there are less courses around. Is that true?
There are, absolutely. There's actually no. When I did I'm very old, but when I did my first qualification, it was actually an undergraduate degree at Melbourne, and you could study librarianship and teaching at the same time. That no longer exists.
Right.
So most people nowadays do a librarianship degree and then add a graduate degree in teaching, or the other way around. They do teaching and then they add librarianship, and most people do it by distance. CSU is the biggest distance provider. As to why we've lost them, well, it's difficult. I never know what to say in this scenario because I worry that I don't want to paint a negative picture, because we still have lots of. Our SLAV is very vibrant and active. We have hundreds and hundreds of members. We cover all of the state with branches. We have 18 active branches across the state. So we're very active and very vibrant. But there is no doubt that we are dropping in numbers, and what we're seeing is the school library might still exist, but they don't have a teacher librarian. They might have a technician or a librarian or an assistant who's actually running the library. So I don't think we're losing school libraries as such, but we're certainly losing trained staff. Why is that? I think it's a combination of a variety of things. Certainly we are expensive, and I think therefore you'll see more teacher librarians in the independent system and the Catholic system, and therefore from an equity standpoint, and I continually find that dismaying that we're not doing the same for our students in government schools. And that's very, very upsetting. Some time ago, the framework of the way staffing worked changed to a model where principals have an autonomous say over what they can do within their school. So they're given a bucket of money and then they can divide it up as they wish. And there's actually no stipulation from the government as to how they allocate particularly their specialist areas. So therefore they'll have a bucket of money and they can decide, what will I have? Will I have a teacher librarian? Will I have a music teacher? Will I have an art teacher? Will I have a sport teacher, a drama teacher? Now they're all specialist add-ons in most cases, particularly in primary. And I would argue they should have all of them. And most of us, I'm sure, would argue that. But what will happen then is the politics come into play, and the principal will try and decide what they're going to do. And unfortunately, the smaller the school, the less that bucket of money, never know the right terminology, the less money in that bucket, and so it's highly likely they're not going to have all of those things, so they have to make a choice. The bigger the bucket of money, the more likely you are to have all of those specialist teachers, and then in your schools that have more money, they're more likely not to make those decisions, and they will have all of those specialist trained areas. So that's one issue. And then you also have the issue of it being more difficult to train and probably fewer people choosing to go into it. There is that attitude out there that we no longer need libraries and books are dying, or some ridiculous rubbish that people spout, which is, well, it's actually not true.
Of course it's not true.
But it's actually really not true. I mean, all of the evidence says it's not true. And so even when people say those things, it's very frustrating, because unfortunately some people just hear that and somehow feel it is true, and it's actually not true.
So when you say it's not true, you say it's not true that it's not important that we have them, not that it's not true that libraries, that we're getting less and less libraries.
But well,
a bit of both.
It is, well, I think most schools still have a library. Whether they have trained people and whether they have good collections is debatable. Or I suppose what I'm meaning is it's not true, say for instance, when people say to you things like, book sales are dropping and libraries are disappearing and public libraries are no longer being used, and school, those things are not true. They're just not true. And it's also not true that we're moving to an environment where we're using digital means of reading books, ebooks, etc. So ebook growth grew exponentially for some time, and then it has plateaued. And it's not actually true that we're all turning away from real paper books to digital. And I love reading digital books. I love them, but they're not taking over from paper.
Yeah, that's great. And young people are still reading books. Yes. It feels like that's really a thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that, I find that amazingly, why anyone ever thought it would happen, I don't know. But there was this view that we were bringing up a generation of digital people that
digital
would only...
natives. I know that one.
And look, that was a term by a gentleman called Prensky, which has been debunked ever since he first said it.
Interesting.
It's no longer agreed in academia or in any area that matters that is true. And he actually believed that. And I've done research myself in that field, which has indicated that young people are the same as us. Some of them love reading in a digital format, some of them love paper. In the main, they love the digital format for its ease of use when they're travelling, they want easy access. But what we're finding is that amongst young people, they love paper too. And they love beautiful books, and they love reading books in that way. And it seems to have plateaued the use of an ebook at about 10%. So we have those rumours and incorrect information, unfortunately, I think did influence people that were making decisions.
Okay,
and I think that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
In 2011, there was a national parliamentary inquiry into the state of school libraries, and it had over 700 submissions, and it interviewed people in every state of Australia.
Right.
Massive. And that national committee found that school libraries value add. They offer amazing things to their communities and to students, but it didn't do anything about saying what they're going to do about it.
Right.
It just came down with this finding to say they're wonderful, they do great things, they're really important, we all need them, and then it didn't do anything else.
Right.
And this is the problem of the difference between what the national government will do and what states will do. So they basically passed the buck and said that's the arena of the states. They need to do something about it. And then what states have done have devolved the responsibility to schools and given that responsibility predominantly to principals.
Okay.
So that is where we really need to be talking to. You need some principals on here.
Hopefully
and they need to be listening and thinking about what the importance of school libraries are. But I feel for them too. They only have that bucket of money we talked about, and they've unfortunately often got to do more and more because parents want more from schools, and they're trying to do more and more with the same amount of money. So sometimes school libraries have lost out in that regard. But that said, we've still got a really vibrant, active, interested, passionate community, who really want to do wonderful things for their students and their teachers. And I think that's to be celebrated. So while we talk about the negatives, the positives are still really there. Yeah.
Fantastic. So just to wind up with, what else do we need to know about SLAV before, so assuming that listeners out there are plenty of teachers, there are librarians, there are booksellers, but there are also creators. What are the things that we can know about SLAV? And can any of us come along to some of the bigger conferences, or are they just for librarians?
Okay. Well, look, we always welcome anybody, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Very interested to hear from people that would like to be involved in our conferences, or particularly our forums, which are a smaller more intimate kind of gathering where we give more creators a chance to talk for shorter amounts of time. We would love to have any connection possible, and the website, they can go to our website and have a look there. If they're also interested, there is a national movement at the moment called Students Need School Libraries, and it's a campaign of all of the different states and different organisations involved in school libraries that have come together and that are trying to do raise a bit of awareness about school libraries and about the need for them. Has some wonderful supporters, people like Morris Gleitzman and Jackie French have got on board and done some work for us. So that's a coalition nationwide, and that has a website as well. So Students Need School Libraries is the catchphrase. And there's been a bit of publicity following on from that. So probably important that they know about that campaign. And that SLAV is certainly there and wanting to match creators with communities, and we often get inquiries, and very happy to do what we can to do that in any way that we can.
Great, fantastic. Thank you so much. I learnt so much, even though I thought I knew quite a bit about SLAV, but I feel like I know so much more. And so we'll put those links up on the website.
Oh, please.
Thank you so much for coming and chatting with us.
Thank you, Sally. Thank you very much.
That was yet another ripping report, but now it's time for Social Media Watch.
Social Media Watch time, Sal, which is a lot of fun. And there's a few things that caught my eye this time round.
This one's particularly funny. Yeah.
So I love obviously rad dads reading. I love it.
Yep.
I love seeing dads particularly reading.
You have a hashtag, don't you, Rad Dads Reads? Check it out.
I do. I'm trying to get pictures of dads on social media reading to their kids because
it's important.
It is important.
It's good role modelling, particularly for little boys.
Exactly.
See their dads reading.
Exactly. So please do put something up on social media and hashtag RadDadsRead. But along those lines, I saw this great clip a little while back, the Gruffalo being wrapped by a dad. Should we have a quick look?
Yeah.
Here it is.
The Gruffalo. Let's go. Yo, a mouse took a stroll through the deep dark wood. A fox and the mouse look good. Where are you going to, little brown mouse? Come and have lunch in my underground house. It's gonna be kind of you, fox, but no, I'm gonna have lunch with a Gruffalo. A Gruffalo. What's a Gruffalo? A Gruffalo. Why did you know he has terrible tusks and terrible claws and terrible teeth in his terrible jaws? Where are you meeting him? Here by the rocks. His favourite food is roasted fox. Roasted fox. I'm off, fox said. Goodbye, little mouse, and away he sped. Said the old fox, doesn't he know there's no such thing as a Gruffalo? On with the mouse to the deep dark wood, an ounce of the mouse and the mouse look good. Where are you going to, little brown mouse? Come and have tea in my treetop house. It's frightfully nice of you, Al, but no, I'm gonna have tea with a Gruffalo. A Gruffalo? What's a Gruffalo? A Gruffalo? Why did you know he has nobody knees and turned out toes and a poison swore at the end of his nose? Where are you meeting him? Here by the stream, and his favourite food is owl ice cream. Owl ice cream, to goodbye, little mouse. And away Al flew. Silly old Al, doesn't he know there's no such thing as a... Yeah, I said there's no such thing as a... Yeah.
It's so good.
It's hilarious.
It's so cute, and he's such a good rapper.
He's really good at it.
Really good.
I wonder if that's his day job.
I don't know. He seems to take to it really well. It was amazing. And it got me thinking about a friend of ours from the One More Page team, Nat Amor. She put out a rap. You might not have seen this actually.
I haven't seen this one. I'm looking forward to it.
She put out a rap of Aaron Blaby's Piranhas Don't Eat Bananas.
Wow.
It's a ripper. Have a little look at this.
Laying down some bedtime tunes with DJ Blabalot and the Funky Fish Fingers. When I'm at my friends and it's heading into bedtime, the kids want a story and of course it's gotta be rhyme. One that makes them laugh and it's best we don't tell mum, but we all like books with a little bit of bomb. Piranhas don't eat bananas. Piranhas don't eat bananas. So I head to the shelf and it's not even a maybe. If I want to get them giggling, I grab myself a Blaby. But not Pig the Pug, cause when they're in pajamas, these kids only want piranhas don't eat bananas. Piranhas don't eat bananas. Piranhas, they don't eat bananas. I drop a little beatbox, I open up the book. I break into some rhymes, but they're waiting for the hook. Hey there guys, would you like a banana? What's wrong with you, Brian? Dude, you're a piranha. Piranhas don't eat bananas. Piranhas don't eat bananas. Now when I come over, before they take a nap, I have to grab a book and bust a story rap. Picture book rhyme with a hella heavy beat is the only way to get these crazy kids to sleep.
That's Nat Amor, and she's actually a really good rapper too.
She's great, I know.
Got all these excellent beatboxing people all around the place.
Yeah, not my forte.
No?
No.
You couldn't rap out, but bust out a few rhymes?
Bust out a rhyme about Buster.
Oh, that'd be a good one. I think a Polly and Buster. That'd be nice.
Buster move with Buster.
Yeah, I like it. Well, maybe we'll look forward to that. But all these little clips about bringing books to life reminded me of a classic from last year, The Wonky Donkey. The grandma
Hilarious.
reading Wonky Donkey.
With her Scottish accent.
Exactly. We'll just have a little snippet of that too.
I was walking down the road and I saw a donkey. Hee-haw! He only had 3 legs, 1 eye, and he liked to listen to country music. He was a honky-tonky, winky-wonky donkey. I think I like this book better than the main. I was walking down the road and I saw a donkey. Hee-haw! He had only 3 legs, 1 eye. He liked to listen to country music. It was quite tall and slim. He was a lanky, honky-tonky, winky-wonky donkey. After you listen to this. Oh dear. How can MD read this seriously? I was walking down the road and I saw a donkey. Yo. Oh dear, hold on. Oh dear. He only had 3 legs, 1 eye. He liked to listen to country music. He was quite tall and slim. And he smelled really, really bad. Oh dear. He's a stinky, dinky, lanky, honky, tonky, winky, wonky donkey. Oh, I had to stop looking at his bum.
That's great, isn't it?
So cute.
It's so funny.
It just went viral.
It
didn't
went through the roof. And you know what? Based on that,
Yep.
there is now a sequel commissioned to The Wonky Donkey
okay.
called The Dinky Donkey,
Right.
which is a cool title in itself. But that's the power of when something goes viral like that. You could never have picked that a Scottish grandma would decide to film herself reading The Wonky Donkey. Then all of a sudden...
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Okay, you want to send a picture book viral?
Yes.
You're going to do the rapping. I'm going to video you rapping to your daughters. Which picture book is it?
Oh,
You always put me on the spot.
I know. Which picture book? Oh, look, I think we'd probably do something like, maybe it's a Harry McClary.
I knew it. I was
Yeah.
going to say Harry McLaren for
Donaldson's Dairy. We should do it together. We should do it together.
No.
Oh,
No.
shut down.
That's it.
Okay, look, that might be coming your way. It's iffy. But Schnitzel von Krumm does have a very low tongue, and I can't wait to roll that off the tongue. If that makes sense. Okay, well, enough of that craziness, because now it's time for this.
Our special guest. And on this episode, Adrian speaks to the man behind Marca the Alpaca. It's Matt Cosgrove.
Okay, we're backstage here at the Sydney Writers' Festival, and we are fortunate enough to catch up with my good mate, Matt Cosgrove.
Hey Adrian, how's it
How are you?
going?
You good? You pumped? You ready for your presentation?
I'm ready for my presentation and I'm excited. So when's Sally getting here?
Sorry, it's just me at the moment.
I thought this isn't the Rippin' Report.
No, you're the very special guest.
I thought
to be in the Rippin'
I
Report.
only agreed to do this for the Rippin' Report.
Well, this is awkward.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm here for you,
Of course.
Adrian.
Thank you.
Not that I love Sally, but I love you more,
But I can
Adrian.
understand the love for the Rippin' Report. It is a ripping report.
Okay.
So now we've cleared that up.
Yes, okay.
Matt, I
Just
want to find
no
out
Sally.
all about you.
All right.
No,
Just-
Sally, you're just going to have to push on.
All about me? Okay, yes.
Sometimes I wish Sally was in this as well. Look at this beautiful orange beast that it is.
Yes.
Alpacas with maracas.
Yeah.
Now, this was recently the National Simultaneous Storytime Book.
That's correct, on Wednesday the 22nd of May.
Yeah. How did you find it? How did you spend the day?
Reading Alpacas with Maracas,
Of course,
along
with everyone else.
along with a million kids across Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah,
So
amazing.
just celebrating books, celebrating literacy, celebrating reading.
Yep.
So so that was the whole idea of National Simultaneous Storytime, and yeah, it was just exciting.
It was awesome, wasn't it?
So happy they picked the book and the people read it, and all those awesome teachers and librarians and parents and carers across.
Yep.
Australia and New Zealand embraced it. That was
Awesome, isn't it? Well, the thing is, when I last caught up with you, which would have almost been a year ago.
Almost, yeah.
You said to me
You were
that-
wearing a duck suit, I think.
wearing a duck suit. Unfortunately, that is true. And it sounds weirder than it is. In fact, it was pretty weird. But today I've spared you the duck suit.
Okay.
But when I did catch up with you, you said, and I found this really strange, but you said that I still feel like the guy that at some point it's all going to be, the rug's going to be pulled from underneath me.
Yep.
Now, given the success of Maracas in the last year since we caught up, the alpacas and Marca has gone through the roof.
Yeah.
Do you still feel like the guy where this could all end?
Absolutely,
Really?
yeah. I still have my fingers crossed. I still do other work.
Really?
just in case it doesn't pan out. So yeah, it's still, because, you know, I've been doing this for 25 years now.
Illustrating.
And writing and illustrating. So, and being spectacularly unsuccessful for the entire 25
not
years.
true.
So,
That is not true.
so when Marca came out last year and people who I wasn't related to actually bought the book and it started, you know, sort of taking off.
Yeah.
It was a shock, and it's very different for me. So
How did that feel when that started taking off? Do you remember that moment where it
yeah,
clicked?
absolutely. It was a total surprise. Like a couple of weeks after the book came out, the publisher, it wasn't even the publisher, like the head of Scholastic rang up and said, Marca is doing, it's exceeded all expectations.
Wow,
and I was like,
great.
how low were your expectations? Like, what are we talking about here?
I thought that was still pretty high.
And they're like, it's being reprinted, it's being reprinted, and just, so it's a shock, it's a surprise. I'm so happy.
It's great.
Yeah, so I love it, but I'm not convinced it's going to last. So I'm just enjoying it while I can and going along for the ride, and it's awesome. So
It is awesome.
Yeah.
It's not every day you get the head of Scholastic ring up and saying, hey, Matt, things are going well, buddy.
So,
I mean, he's only going to be ringing up for two reasons, really.
it could have been good, it could have been bad.
So why did you go? What do you put this? It's hugely successful. What do you put it down to, the Marca?
I wish I knew the answer, because then all of my problems would be solved. I think a lot of the time with publishing, it's just luck, you know? Like, I think there's a huge amount of luck involved. I think I was just lucky. One day the entire world woke up and said, we love alpacas, and I just happened to have a book out that starred an alpaca. And
So you
it's
hit
pretty
it
cute.
at peak alpaca.
Yeah, I think it is just, you know, there's something about his face, like his eyes, he's just adorable, I think, and people related to it. And also with the original one, Marca the alpaca, it had that sort of bullying storyline, which I know a lot of teachers loved using as sort of a resource to talk about that issue in class.
And so why did you go with the bullying theme as the first one? Is that something, I mean, obviously you got kids, you get inspired by some of the things that happen to them?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you know, when you've got kids, they all feed into your work. But no, there was nothing deep or amazing about the genesis of Marca the alpaca. We were literally just at the Royal Easter Show and we saw alpacas, and I was like, wow, they're cute.
I'll write a book about them.
And I didn't know much about alpacas or llamas. They were in the pavilion together, and I was like, why are they housed together? And did some research. Apparently they're cousins, but alpacas are a little bit smaller. Llamas are bigger and more aggressive. And just the character traits of the animals sort of gave me the storyline about a little alpaca who gets picked on by a big bully llama. So that's where the story came from.
Okay. At any point did you think, I'm going to write this from the perspective of the bully character?
Not really. I love those
some of those stories,
Yeah.
some of the popular stories, well, not all of them, but some of them, they come from that perspective.
Absolutely, I love those stories.
Anti-hero.
The anti-hero, absolutely, where you relate to him. That's why I love like Pig the Pug, because he's so horrible.
But you can't help but love him.
But you love him as well.
He's a lovable.
But I thought, I wanted people to empathise with the good guy for my stories, and Marca is the ultimate good guy. He's like filled with kindness and forgiveness, and you know, I wanted to write a nice book. You know, some of my other books, like the Epic Fail Tales, the characters are evil, they're horrible, like they're trash-talking ninjas, and they're the meanest people on the planet. But with Marca, with the picture book, I wanted to have a really lovely, nice character as the hero. So I wasn't tempted, but now that I think about it, it might have been like an interesting approach, and it might even be something that might come up later. Harmer might have his own
I smell a spin-off.
We'll see. I'm playing it around. Yeah. So
actually, would more things rhyme with llama than alpaca?
I know. Why did I choose alpaca? Why didn't I write about a cat? It's like I swear there is not
has to rhyme. I
Yeah,
swear, how are you going to get more than 3? I don't know. I don't know what you're going to do.
There is not a word in the English language or any other language that rhymes with alpaca that I have not explored as an option. So, So at the 5th Macca book, I ran out of rhymes. I had to start going with alliteration. So Macca's Makeover is coming in September. Yep. But the rest of the story is written in rhyme. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay. We still get the rhyme factor.
Yeah, it's still very fun.
Now you mentioned the fairy tale series that you did.
Yep.
The junior
Epic
chapter
Fairy
books.
Tales.
Yeah. Are you still going to do some chapter books and things like that in the future?
There's definitely plans for that stuff, but at the moment, just with the popularity of the alpacas.
Riding the wave, man.
And exactly, like you said, and my fear of, of poverty and failure, I'm going to just stick with alpacas while people are keen for it, because there's peaks and flows. Eventually people will go, we're filled up with alpacas, no more. And then hopefully I'll be able to sort of explore some other things. So at the moment I'm doing an alpaca book, and then I'm alternating with another picture book or another project, and then an alpaca book.
Yes.
And
like My Dad is a Robot.
My Dad's a Robot, or Thanks Mum.
Yeah.
You did your research.
Of course not.
It's written down on notes under here.
It is not. I knew this stuff, I'm trying to take it up to the Rip and Report level.
Don't worry, Sally, you're safe.
So they're sort of all lots of one-offs, aren't they?
Yeah, just one-off books sort of in between, so to keep me sane and give me, something different to do. I'd get bored if it was just the same over and over again.
Yeah. So what can we expect from future Maccas?
The future Maccas, well, like I said, Macca's Makeover is coming, I think, in September. Great. So Macca looks around at all his friends, and he thinks they're the coolest animals on the planet, and he wishes he was cool too. It's that classic story of trying to be cool when you're not. So he tries everything. He tries to get
I don't know what that's like.
You probably, you wouldn't know. You probably can't relate to this one.
I can't at all.
But for everyone else who isn't as cool as Adrian, you might relate or empathise with this story about a guy who wants to fit in. So Macca tries to get a cool haircut and ends up looking ridiculous. He tries to go to the gym and it doesn't work out, and tries all these different things before he realises at the end that he was cool all along, because got to have that nice message with the picture books.
It. Okay, well that's great. So more Maccas and alpacas than you can poke a stick at, which is good news.
It's good news.
What do we have to do? What point? Because they've been going through the roof. What do we have to get to so that you will recognise the fact that this is me? I'm a full-time author, illustrator here.
I don't know.
What has to happen? Is it going overseas? Or what about if there's a blockbuster movie about?
Oh my gosh, that would be awesome. Or even a TV show. If only I knew somebody in TV. There's plans for it to go overseas, and I don't know what it'll take, but it's just lovely to walk into a bookstore and see it there, or it's lovely to walk into a library and see it in the library, and it's super nice to go and do a school visit and have a kid say it's my favourite book ever, or have a mum send me an email going, like, my daughter loves this book. So all of that stuff, that's the nice stuff.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it?
So that's why we do this.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, best of luck with the extra Maccas and the alpacas and all the rest of it. And
thanks,
should we do a little bit of a shake
let's do it.
I know you've got to get to your presentation. Is this part of your presentation?
Of course. I don't leave home without my maracas these days.
Like Peter Allen.
Right,
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks. All right, see you next time, Sally. All right.
Make sure you look out for Macca's Makeover coming in September.
Great interview. I really enjoyed listening to that.
Thank you, Sal. Yes, always good fun. Now, we just have enough time to do our giveaway before we have to wrap this episode up. And we spoke about Andy Griffiths at the start of the show because he's always part of the Willie Lit Fest, which is coming up. And we thought it'd be a good opportunity to give away the 104-story treehouse.
I'm talking of wrapping up.
Oh, yes. That's right, because the question's all about wrapping. In fact, to enter, all you need to do is go to the Kidlit Club page or group and comment on the episode's video with the answer to the following question. Sal, I'll leave it to you.
Which children's book would you like to see made into a wrap?
Ooh.
And why?
I like it. Yes, very interesting. And if you do actually wrap in your answer, you get bonus points,
Bonus
okay?
points. Yep. May even be a winner.
Love to see that. It's a game of skills, so impress us with your answers. Winners revealed on Friday of the 104-story Treehouse. We should also say that the Total Quack Up entries, so we're looking for a kid to write a story to be involved in Total Quack Up, published by the end of the year, Total Quack Up 2.
Alongside some really great authors.
Absolutely.
Yep.
They are due on Monday.
Yeah, so get them in.
Get them in.
Poke prod that child in your house.
That's right.
Tell them to send
Get
it in.
writing.
Yeah.
You could be a published author, kid. Head to the website listed below to get involved in that, and we will be reading all the entries. We're looking forward to seeing them.
Yeah, it'll be really great.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us for another Kid Lit Club episode.
See you in a fortnight.
Bye.